This is the story of Sri Varahadev, the third of the 10 avatars of Vishnu. So there's Swayambhuva Manu, who was a chief manager of the universe. He was a son of Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is the creator of the universe, and he was asking his son Swayambhuva Manu to help manage the universe after creation. Lord Varahadev is Vishnu in the form of a boar who came to rescue the earth twice on two occasions. There are two appearances of Lord Varahadev, two stories of Lord Varahadev. Kashyapa Muni is a very powerful sage. Diti is one of his wives. She is the mother of the Daityas. The sons of Diti are called Daityas. Hiranyaksha is the younger brother of Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu are the twin sons of Kashyapa Muni and Diti. So in the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma had asked his son, after his son was married, he asked his son to now help him manage the universal affairs. So of course, Swayambhuva Manu, being a dutiful son, he asked for the blessings of his father, Lord Brahma, but then he posed a question to Lord Brahma. He said, "My dear father, my dear Lord Brahma, if you can see, the earth has fallen from its orbit. It is now, or it has now sunk into the ocean of devastation. You want me to manage the universe, and I can do so. However, how am I going to raise the universe and put the universe back in its orbit?" So Lord Brahma, recognizing that there was a challenge that was beyond both his own ability and the ability of his son, Swayambhuva Manu, he began to pray to Vishnu. As he was praying in his mind to Vishnu, without warning, from his nose came a very, very small entity. It was no more bigger than the tip of the thumb. And Lord Brahma became very curious. What is this thing flying out of his nose? And right before his eyes, this entity, this personality began to grow. And it was the form of a boar. But not only was it the form of the boar, it had all of the signs of being an avatar of Vishnu that Lord Brahma could recognize. And in recognizing, he saw that, wow, Lord Boar, Lord Varahadev, has come to help us in this very difficult task of trying to lift the earth and put it back in its orbit. And sure enough, Lord Varahadev, after receiving the prayers from Lord Brahma, receiving the prayers of all the demigods and sages who were present, he dove into the waters of devastation. And he swam around until he found the earth. And then with his tusks, he lifted the earth out of the water and flew into the sky and placed the earth back in its orbit. This is the first time Varahadev appeared. Later on, this actually happened again. This is the second story. Kashyapa Muni was a very powerful Brahmin sage, very pious, and Diti was one of his wives. One of his other famous wives was Aditi. Aditi is the mother of Vamanadev, and you'll come to know that in the Vamana story. But Diti, she is one of Kashyapa Muni's co-wives. And at one point, Diti really wanted to start her family. So she went to Kashyapa Muni and she said, let's start a family. And Kashyapa Muni said, well, now is not the best time for us to be starting a family. There are many things that are required before we can prepare to raise a family. There are many sanskars, Garbhadhana sanskar is one of them. There are many things we have to do in order to prepare for having a family. But Diti was insistent, and Kashyapa Muni was also not strong enough to ask her to wait. It's a very key question, a very key point here is that even though we may be asked to do something by friends, our best friends and families, it is important that if we know what we're being asked to do is wrong, we should remain strong in character and persuade our friend, our loved one, not to do so. Kashyapa was unable to do this. So they had a family. Because it was the wrong time for this to happen, the children of Diti were demons. They were twins. Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were born. Hiranyakashipu is the older of the twins. And the story of Hiranyakashipu is part of the story of the fourth avatar of Vishnu, Lord Nrsingadev. But the younger brother, the younger twin, was Hiranyaksha. And Hiranyaksha was very, very proud, very powerful, very strong, an incredible fighter. He went out throughout the entire universe looking for someone to fight with. And he was so powerful, so strong that no one would fight with him. So he went down into the depths of the ocean to see Lord Varuna, and he wanted to pick a fight with Lord Varuna, the god of water. So when he reached there, he called out to Varuna, "My dear Deva, my dear demigod, please come. I hear you are very powerful. Please engage with me in a contest of arms, in a contest of physical and military and martial strength." Varuna laughed at him. He says, "My dear demon, Hiranyakashipu, you're very proud, but don't worry, there is a person who will certainly give you a very, very tough fight. In fact, this person will be the cause of your death." Hiranyaksha was very, very excited. Where is this person? Where is this person? Hiranyaksha never had a fight that tested his ability. He was very excited to meet this person. Varuna says, "Just go not too far from here." Hiranyaksha went looking, and this is when he found Lord Varahadev. For the second time, the earth had slipped from its orbit. Many, 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 many years after the first time it happened. Many thousands, millions of years after the first time it happened again, as the story goes. And Lord Varahadev was lifting the earth. He had found the earth in the water, and he was lifting the earth back up into the surface of the water. That's when Hiranyaksha appeared, and he saw Varahadev with his tusks holding the earth and coming out of the water. And Hiranyaksha immediately began to insult Lord Varahadev, calling him a wild animal, a dirty creature. He was trying to anger Lord Varahadev. The earth was on his tusks, and we know the earth is Bhumi Devi, goddess Bhumi. She became very afraid when she heard the screaming and the insult heard by Hiranyaksha, and Hiranyaksha was running towards Varahadev. She became afraid, not knowing what was going to happen. So Varahadev ignored Hiranyaksha. He let the demon shout and scream, and he took Mother Earth to one side and placed her gently aside so she would not be harmed, and so she felt protected and not under threat by this mad, raving Hiranyaksha that was charging both her and Varahadev. Varahadev turned to Hiranyaksha, and an enormous battle ensued. Hiranyaksha, who carries a club, attacked Lord Varahadev. And several times he actually hit Lord Varahadev and even knocked the club that Lord Varahadev was carrying out of his hand. And all the demigods who were watching became afraid that this demon is now going to defeat Lord Varahadev. But Lord Varahadev continued to fight with Hiranyaksha, and then he knocked Hiranyaksha's club from Hiranyaksha's hand. And he told Hiranyaksha, "It's okay, you can pick it up, I'll wait for you." He began to tease Hiranyaksha like this. Hiranyaksha became furious. He began to use all kinds of magic and maya, illusions, to try to defeat Lord Varaha. All kinds of weapons began raining from the sky. All types of creatures began moving towards Lord Varahadev. Lord Varahadev was completely unimpressed and completely destroyed the magic of Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu then tried to attack Lord Varahadev once again. And Lord Varahadev very calmly slapped Hiranyakashipu at the base of his ear, at the the bottom of his jaw, at the base of his ear. And that one slap from Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha. And he fell on the field of battle. Varahadev then picked up Mother Earth and placed her back in orbit. However, Hiranyaksha was the twin of Hiranyakashipu. When Hiranyakashipu heard this, he became furious. And he decided that he was going to kill Vishnu no matter what it took. And that story is the story of Lord Nrsingadev. Hari Hari.